live!
Woohoo! Welcome, patrons, watchers of the time stream. Oh man, it is so great to be with you for the cool down.
Yay! Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Morgan Peter Brown, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I am back in Los Angeles. I'm back from the glorious state of Mississippi, where I was producing a movie for like the last month and a half.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to be back. Did some really exciting stuff, but really happy to be back here. My wife is happy that I'm back here.
That's great.
But no, we're really excited. Yes, the boys are back in town. As Seth
Well,
said.
I'm pleased to have you back as well. There was a moment last week where you froze in your Mississippi hotel room. That was very dramatic.
I think I saw chat commenting too later, because I checked out chat later on after the show, and people were like, Morgan's, because it happened during the fight. And people were like, Morgan's probably losing his mind right now. And it's like, yes, I was absolutely losing my mind, because it was like worst absolute timing. It's like things were dark and I could not get a signal. And I was like, ah!
That's got to be frustrating. It's the worst feeling in the world. You're like, I don't know what to do. But you're back. And so we're super thrilled.
Yes.
I should say right here at the top, this is the official companion show to the Dungeon Run. We exist. This show exists because of the generous donations from folks on Patreon.
Yes.
At patreon.com/the Dungeon Run. If you want to have access to the VOD of this episode and all the episodes of the Cooldown, that's the only way to do it, is to become a supporter at patreon.com/the Dungeon Run. Also, lots of other cool tiers. There's DM stat sheets. There's cool cast secrets. There's getting your name shouted out in the show in a funny, ridiculous way. All kinds of cool ways to be a supporter of the show. Also, I want to mention that it kind of brings us up to this sort of a housekeeping note.
Yeah, we wanted to do a little housekeeping here at the top. It's midsummer. We got some cleaning to do. No.
Yeah, exactly. And Morgan was away producing a movie, as is his one of his many hats that he wears
sometimes.
And so part of that was sort of the reason why we had two shots, although we love it. The second half of Jared's awesome Festival of the Sapphire Lights two-shot is coming soon. Stay tuned for details about that. But scheduling in general, I know the summertime has been a little bit busy for all of us and continues to be. I am moving out of the state of California. I'm moving to Colorado. So there may be some wonkiness coming up with my schedule, because I'll be moving into a new house. I don't know when internet will be installed or how it'll be installed or when my stuff will get there. It's all a lot of chaos for my life. We're going to try to make it as seamless for you, our supporters and the watchers of the time stream, as possible. But it may involve us having to maybe pre-record, pre-tape an episode or two here or there.
Yeah, we want to keep we want to obviously keep giving you guys the show on a regular basis as much as possible. And so we, as Jeff said, that might involve pre-taping. It might involve some more side games and stuff like that, which we love, and we always try to have a good time and bring on guests. But that's a little bit of a bit coming up. We've already got plans for it. It's just been a little bit of a crazy time, as will happen during life.
And we appreciate your patience in rolling with that. I know it can feel a little bit like a little herky-jerky when there's episodes of the main show and then episodes of the side. But I really have enjoyed having the opportunity to bring on guests and do side things and explore the larger Dungeon Run community.
Yes.
Hopefully you, the viewers, are enjoying that as well. And we're going to try to keep all that stuff, not too frequent, but it's going to happen from time to time. And we're trying to be as transparent and open about that as possible, because you make the show possible, you support the show, and you are the reason we exist. So
absolutely. And we have a lot of other plans in mind. I know there's been a lot of questions about merch, and we've been trying to keep you guys updated. The merch situation is coming very close to ready. It literally, we're just doing like quality assurance now, because we don't want to launch it and then have to troubleshoot. And so that's the state that we are at with that right now. We want to make sure that when we send it out to all of you, that it's in the best state possible, because we want you to be happy. We want us to be happy. So that's where we're at.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one of the things I have learned as somebody who's made things for a while, I'm sure Morgan agrees, is that everything takes longer than you think.
Always. Always.
So
This year has been, I, we were still on caffeine 6 months ago.
crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of bananas when you really think about it. But and this whole move and us taking it ourselves has been such a whirlwind, an incredible experience that we're so thankful for. Um, but it's really been a matter of putting it all together and figuring it out and trying to be transparent with all of you as we kind of make this happen. And we've been able to do things like bring on guests and take it to Twitch and open it up to a wider audience. And we're so thankful for all of you. We see the growing audience, which is so exciting. New people and introducing new people to the awesomeness of this show and this community. And so we're loving it. But yeah, having a great time. Yeah. Hang on.
So that's kind of our state of things. If you have any specific questions, you're more than welcome to throw them into the chat. We have some questions from the Patreon to talk through. And I should say, as is the case with all of these cooldowns, spoilers for everything that's happened in the most recent episode. We're going to talk.
You and I might have to kick out any. I saw Ron's in the chat. We might have to kick out Ron out of the chat at some point if there's any secret room questions, anything like that. But yeah, no. One of the Patreon cast secrets that I did recently is I have opened up my notebook, basically. I see you, Jessica. Hello, Goodberry. You're not fooling anybody. I opened up my notebook and basically decided to start going like, okay, full transparency. Here's what James is thinking in this moment. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's my plan. Who knows if Show Through God or whomever will allow me to do so.
I mean, that's a serious cast secret. I love that. I love that approach of just being like, here's my thought process for my character. That's such a cool cast secret.
It's kind of a vlog, honestly, and I'm probably going to do another one after this week as well. Yeah. But shall we dive in? Episode 88. Episode 88, our Back to the Future episode, as I like to call it.
88 miles per hour. Yeah.
88 miles an hour.
Yes. The Depths of Rage.
Yes.
By the way, I was going to say, in reference to Jessica being in the chat, I feel like Jessica is the kind of person that reads the last page of a book, right away.
I love it.
I don't want to throw her under the bus, but I kind of feel like she might be.
She's probably too young for this, but she's definitely someone who would have used a game genie back in the day.
And Whisper Josephine in the chat says, Jeff, so does Fahimagator now top your list of WTF cast moments?
Wow.
It's up there. It's up there. I mean, there's been a lot of crazy cast moments, but do you like Fahimagator or Crocahima?
Fahimagator rolls off the tongue a little better, I think.
I mean, I guess it would be Fahimadial. It would be, right?
Or Fahimadial, right?
Yeah.
Or Crocahima. No, I don't.
Yeah, Crocohima. I like Crocohima.
It really that could have gone either way because Ron or Ugo was screaming, "Let's get out of here," and I was definitely thinking about it too. It was bad.
Well, the problem was that I actually was like, maybe retreat is the smartest move for these guys. But the problem was when Ron was calling for retreat, Jared was already enslaved, so it would have been like retreat without Civ.
I realized that was a serious issue. I realized that only after the fact, this was silly of me. I wonder if I could have dispelled the enslavement. I don't know. I did have dispel prepped, but it probably would have been something that I would have had to roll for because I don't know.
Enslave isn't technically a spell. It doesn't have a spell level, so we would have to had to figure that out.
Yeah,
I've read some Reddit people talking about like how you would what DC it would be for enslaved, and it would be super high supposedly.
Yeah,
so
right.
Because it's more powerful than what's the equivalent spell?
Charm person,
right?
Yeah,
because it's not just about charming them and making them considered friendly. They're literally, you get to control them like a puppet. It's a very powerful spell. So
yeah. which yes, I mean this is dark. At a level 13 or 14, Great Old One Warlock gets to do something very similar.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not as easy. There's a couple things where it's like create thrall, I think, is the skill. Yep. Whoops. We'll see about that. Yeah.
The chat has decided it is now forever to be referred to as the Fahima Dial episode.
The Fahima Dial.
It's a good one.
But yeah, so it was, as you said, I think we had done 7 points of damage on the Aboleth before Jessica pulled her move, which, you know, it was also all area of effect attacks. Everyone got so close to it right away. Like Ron was right next to it. I was right next to it. Jared was right next to it.
Yeah.
And so I had things planned, but that you know, I couldn't exactly drop a Hunger of Hadar on it because it just would have hurt everybody. So I don't know.
All of the other I mean, just to kind of get insight into that fight from my perspective, all of the other monsters there, even Diphtheed and you know, and the Tanaruk, they were there to be mostly their job was to drag people into the water.
Right.
Because the Aboleth can do a lot, but it likes when people are in the water with it.
Yeah.
And so everything was there to just sort of go up and try to grapple and just drag people closer to it. And I think it worked pretty well. You guys were in real trouble.
Real trouble.
I mean, yeah. I was getting genuinely worried because, you know, but so here's a question that's very pertinent to what we're doing. Cash Beast. No, excuse me. Dr. Sparks. Dr. Sparks writes, how OP is the polymorph in the stomach of a monster? Are you afraid that will become the solution to all hard problems?
Well,
I'm not.
No.
I'm not particularly worried about it. I thought it was an awesome moment, and I'm so glad it happened. I think I made it clear at the time, and I think the whole cast rolled with the fact that it wasn't going to be easy, right?
No.
Fahima had to make those rolls.
Yep.
And there were a number of things that had to happen in order for her to pull it off.
Yep.
She did. And I think earned it. Like, it wasn't just a sort of easy solution. Yeah. It was a clever, risky solution. Because if she had failed any of those rolls, like you were saying, bad times.
Right. Yeah, it was, and I really appreciate, but I know you've done this in the past, but I appreciated you just going like, yeah, that would kill it. You know, like you didn't try to like game it out until like, well, that would probably do 10d10 force damage.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's all silly stuff sometimes. I mean, I understand the rules of D&D are things cause damage and they have hit points, but it feels like if you burst out of the center of, if you're, you know, it just feels like that's got to be the killing blow, right?
How do you survive that? Yeah.
Right. A, and B, there's not going to be anything more dramatic or fun that happens beyond that. That was one of the reasons that I was a little I liked being able to use the force card to steal your banishment roll. Your but also, like, it didn't make that fight better.
No.
It just made it, you guys had to whack on that, you know, that Tanaruk a little longer. I was like, the cool thing with it that you would have banished it, but you know, we were playing with the rules.
No, it's cool. And I think you did use that Force of Evil card, that Dyson Capes' Force of Evil card, really well, and it caused us a lot of issues. We were in serious trouble. Yeah,
it was fun. It was a fun one, and kudos to Dyson Capes for submitting a really fun card.
Definitely.
But the other point I'll make, just to wrap up this idea of it being OP, is I don't think it's a go-to solution. I mean, I know that Ron and Jared after were like, oh, gaseous form can do the kind of the same thing. My feeling is the reason this worked in this particular situation is that she turned into water in water, right? So there's no, it's harder for the monster to discern what is her and what isn't her.
Right.
And I think that, you know, if she just turns into a water and dives toward a monster's mouth, they're not going to swallow her.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
It really was this specific situation of being submerged in water, a monster opening its mouth in water, and there being water all around it anyway. Like, that's just how it exists.
Right.
So I feel like even if you did gaseous form and tried to get into a monster's mouth, I feel like any monster is going to have a natural disinclination to inhale you, right? So I think we'd come up with situations where those things would be equally hard. The monster would have like a wisdom save or something to go,
Right.
I'm not gonna breathe in this thing. It just was one of those situations where it was kind of perfect for the moment. It made a lot of sense, and it created a dramatic moment.
Yeah, cool. And the water form spell, what level is it? Is it 4th or 5th? Or
something like that. It's pretty high.
It's pretty high, and it's a very specific spell. Where, and this was kind of one of those perfect things for it. And it is a water-based creature, and so it was just to flow right in. It made sense to me. I think it would have to be very specific, and she made the rolls, and it absolutely could have killed her if it had gone the wrong way. Right. I think I had that thought after the fact. I was like, so many wizards play wizards as like, keep to the back, keep to the back, keep to the back. Oh my God. And, like, oh, keep me away from the danger. And Jessica doesn't play that way at all. What it results in is sometimes some of the biggest, craziest moves I've ever seen, where you're like, I didn't know she could do that. And it was like, maybe that's all it takes with wizards sometimes is just a pure not caring of like, well, this could kill me. Here I go. And I think that's a lesson for some wizards out there, is like, all you have to do sometimes is really just degaff.
Go for it.
And it's true. I think but yeah, so I'm not afraid personally that polymorph inside the stomach is going to become a problem for everybody.
I don't think so. I think it was that it felt to me very similar to Lily in the decanter salt watering the slug.
Yes,
it felt very similar to that moment. It's like, this is just like uniquely perfect. Lines up to be the perfect move to do in this situation, and it makes for a spectacular thing.
Right.
And Gorban played here in the chat said, any regrets that you didn't steal her save roll? And I thought about it at the time. I know I had one last save or one last steal to do, and I just thought, what makes for a better moment? Me taking that away and making her fail it and not doing it, or letting it happen in the natural flow of she rolled it, she earned it.
Right.
I just felt like it's better to crescendo on that and have that be this cool thing because the player thought of it, the player implemented it, they rolled the dice. For me to just be like, nope, at that moment would just, it undermines the whole creativity of it and the storytelling even.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and I think I'm forgetting what the besides the stealing of, or the Tanaruk roll, giving it that, but I think, I mean, she could have survived one more round in the stomach, and it could have just happened in one more round, and maybe things could have gotten like much worse in that round. But even if the swallowed mechanic is she almost definitely would have survived 6 more seconds inside the stomach and be able to do it next round.
I think she would have survived. It would have gotten grisly, and she would have taken some major damage. But I think for me, I'm much more interested in the storytelling of the moment, and it's part of the reason why I did steal your banishment roll, or use my thing on your banishment roll, is because it's like I hadn't done it that time, so I felt like, well, I got to do it this time. But both of those times, it just feels like it's anticlimactic and not
right.
I mean, I get that there may be some satisfaction of like, oh, the DM is being active and making it harder for everybody, but like, the way the story goes, if you're watching the movie, that's the moment where the freaking thing bursts out of the stomach. That's the moment, like that's.
It's again that thing of the DM is not playing against the players. Right. It's really a story that we're all trying to tell together, and it is your job to challenge us for sure. But it was able to create the challenge, and then it's a question of how far you push that, and allowing that in the moment to say like, this has been, this is built to this moment, and let's take it. I mean, I know even though 2 rounds that it took Jessica to get there felt like ages, because we were all like, we're toast, so toast. It's
pretty brilliant too. I love the the dramatic tension of it, because I had no idea what she was going for, and she just sort of turns into water over here, and everybody kind of forgets about her because she's just sort of not impacting the fight in any way. She's just waterborne.
Well, between we couldn't leave because didn't know where Fahima was, and Civ was enslaved. We're like, what are we supposed to do? And I mean, oof, boy, it could have gone real bad. Real
really
bad.
cool moment though, and
absolutely.
Kudos to Jessica for thinking of it and doing it.
It was such a fun episode. I think that fight could have gone the whole episode if things had gone wrong there, for sure.
For sure. I mean, it was like you pointed out, you had done 7 points of damage to the Aboleth. It had
me,
one,
actually.
Yeah, it had one character enslaved already. It was, I mean, Uggo was in the water. Things were bad. Things were bad.
Real bad. Real bad.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Hang on. Let me look at some more of our questions here. Well, the second half was about so much just gathering of information and continuing to see. Man, this will be a great what if episode, honestly. And those are some of our best ones, where it's like, what if that had gone another way? And I think I posted this in the Discord, but I was laughing after the fact, thinking about what if we had just said, "You're right, Torvald, let's go to Turles and get out of here." I think you saw me in that moment go, "Oh my God," because I was like, what if we had just done that and just left Thorn? You're like, yeah, you guys figure it out. War Chief, whatever, you guys figure it out.
Yeah, I had this image in my mind of like all the, because I don't think you guys even knew yet. I knew that all the assembled orcs were like standing out front of the entrance to the Underfury, just kind of waiting for the new War Chief to appear. And
I think the only hint you'd given us was that Torvald was looking nervous about something outside, and I was like, "Oh no!"
And I love the idea of them all just waiting and waiting, and you guys portaling to Turles, and they're just like, "Should we go in? Is he coming out?
We'll
send
go.
Someone in. Let's send someone in."
We'd have gone back later, and Gurk the Kind would have taken over.
Yeah.
Gurk is new War Chief. Yeah.
All right. We also have a second part of Dr. Sparks' question was for Morgan. Does seeing the problems that Uggo's brother is having with his loss? Well, this would be. This is a
hello,
question.
Goodberry. Get out of chat.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about this on the show, or what do you think?
I can talk about it a little bit. Well, here's what I will talk about. I've been seeing a lot of questions in the Discord. Love you, Jessica. I've been seeing a lot of questions in the Discord about why the urge, the desire to save Braca, who by all means has not been, is not the most savable of NPCs, despite, being Uggo's brother. He seems to have done a lot of bad things and being so concerned. It's not a moral question for James. It's a little bit not wanting Uggo's heart to be broken. But keep in mind, not even thinking about the Shothragat secret room, keep in mind that James has never met another warlock.
Interesting.
He's never met another warlock. He's never met another person like him. And so the fact that there is this guy who we just, I think, I don't know for certain, I don't, we just removed from his patron. And the fact that we might be able to do that and save that person.
Yeah.
And keep him alive.
What does it mean for James, right?
Yes,
what does it mean
yes. He's future? Fighting for himself. And that I am trying to play that. I just haven't had a moment to communicate it, which I'm playing that like, not only does James have questions he wants to ask him, but also it is all about James in this moment. Like, if I can save him, maybe I can save myself. Because how many times have we asked? How many times has Uggo said, just leave your patron?
Right.
And James has said, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And it'll probably kill me. And So the briefest, barest glimpse of hope that James could save this person, forgetting how terrible he is. Whatever. It's not about that in that moment. I mean, yeah, yes. What Ugo says, he should stand for his crimes, all that. Yes, I agree with that. That is not the highest priority in James's mind at all. It is about being able to prove that you can come back from being a warlock.
Yeah.
Because James has no idea. Corbin Bliss says, "I'm just baiting you." Corbin Blade, like there's any doubt that the hammer's coming down on James. He's very much aware that it's coming. James is living on borrowed time, and he knows it. Or at least he thinks he is. And so this moment with Baraka, it's like, okay, we destroyed the source of his power and then healed him in some massive way. Then that was it. And then at the end of it, he just gets to be, does Baraka just get to be a normal guy? You know? And so these are all, James has a ton of questions for Baraka, but also for just about the situation. And so that's what's going on with James in this moment of gotta save Baraka, gotta get some answers.
Right.
I have no other frame of reference for what happens.
Right.
There is no going back, as James has had zero hope or question that there's been any going back for him. And so the fact that I think we're just able to sever a pact for someone else, it's giving him hope.
That's huge. That's really cool. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Wanted to address the Fail Waffles comment. I know we're kind of lingering on this notion of the Force of Evil card, but Fail Waffle said, I agree, and seeing how not using the stealing of the dice on Fahima helped the story. You also thought it wasn't the fun move to use the 20 to keep the last monster. I'm curious, in retrospect, when would have been a good / fun time to use the steals? My opinion on all of that is, from a DM's perspective, is when I like using those break the rules moments, our cards, a DM card. I like to use the break the rules DM card stuff.
Yeah.
DM powers that I've been given by you, the watchers of the time stream. I like to do it when it actually makes for dramatic moments, makes for better storytelling, makes for fun. Right. For me, denying James the ability to banish that monster just means that they have to wall up the monster. It just extends the fight, and they have to wall up this one remaining monster who happens to be standing there, which is what happened in the show. And that was fine and fun, and it worked out great because Lily got the killing blow, and that was kind of a cool moment, and it worked out fun. So I'm not complaining about that. But in that moment, the more dramatic thing is James has this ability, he does it, it banishes the monster, and that's the end of the fight. That is a cool moment, right? When I have the ability to do something neat for my character, and I just or one of my NPCs, and I just roll poorly and don't get to do it, then I go, that's when I would like to be able to use that cool mechanic that you've given me as watchers and correct and create something cool. So if, for example, I mean, it is a dramatic thing to have one of the characters enslaved by the monster. If that didn't happen at all in fighting an Aboleth, it would be a bummer. Because that's the cool thing the Aboleth gets to do, is enslave somebody. So if that didn't happen, I would want to use that power to make it happen, because it creates drama, it creates storytelling moment. So that's my rule of thumb, is like, not just what's the most advantageous move to make the fight more difficult or play better, like from a strategic point of view. It's what creates the coolest beats of, I think of it like a movie. I really do. In my head, I'm imagining it like a movie. And that's what we're trying to create, is these cool, movie-like crescendos. So
no, the question is, I mean, you just have to trust your trust your own instincts in that moment. And
Yeah.
I do. I trust your instincts 100%.
Well, I appreciate it. I think it is a perfectly valid position to take as a viewer of the show to question when I have a move at my disposal and I have that move at my disposal, why I don't use it. I think that is a perfectly valuable. If everybody's like, he had one more steal to do and he let Fahima do that without stealing her die, I think that's a completely legitimate go. Well, he could have stopped that from happening. And from my perspective, like, that's just how I am. I'm much more interested in seeing that awesome moment happen.
Right.
Than stopping that awesome moment from happening.
I agree. Yes.
So,
yeah.
We talked about that a lot now.
We did. No, I know. And yeah, I think it was an awesome moment, and I think it was just about, it's about challenging, and but also at the end of the day, the show has to be about telling the best story. And I think that was the decision that you made, and I agree with you there.
Yeah, Hadrian X says, could have used a steal in the Fulling fight. Yes, I would have used it there because you didn't get to see the cool Fulling stuff. Anyway,
funny.
All right, so here's a question from Cash Beast on the Patreon. Question for you both: do you feel rusty as the DM or the player after a 3-week break?
Yes.
And what effect does it have on the party? Does it take time to reconnect with each other?
Reconnect, not necessarily. I was so happy just to be able to play with you guys and have a blast, that in that instinct, I don't think so. Some of I did feel at a slight disadvantage going into such a brutal fight and feeling a little rusty. I didn't even think about dispelling Civ's enslavement until after the episode. And so that there was, I'm sure every caster has this problem every now and it's like, oh, I had that, that. And especially when you're a warlock, you only get 2 or 3. So what are you going to do? Yeah. And so I definitely had a couple of moments after the fact. I felt a little rusty on my spells, not so much on the role play aspect or about being with the team, really. I think the second half of the episode these are some of my favorite episodes too, is when we're able to get such a nice delineation of half role play and half battle. Because I do find that sometimes when there is a fight in the first half of the episode, that it does seem to drive role play in a really interesting way after the fact. But
it's interesting you say that, because I was really conceiving of the Under Fury as being this 2-stage fight where Ugo has to face off against Braca, and then immediately you guys go and fight the Aboleth. And I really envisioned that as being part of the same episode and it feeling like an escalation. And it just worked out that we sort of had to cut it in between. And I think ultimately it worked out better because it really, like you're talking about, created an interesting dynamic for that second. It worked as a good end point in the first episode, although I think a lot of people were like, wow, that was a little too easy.
Yep.
And I never intended it to feel easy because I felt like it was going to be like out of the frying pan into the fire type of situation. But I think ultimately I liked rhythmically how it set up the beats of each episode.
Yeah, the Braca fight, yes, there was a question of that was almost easier than I expected, but it could have gone so many different ways. It could have gone, I mean, I was moments away from Eldritch blasting some of those orcs or going after Braca if things turned the wrong way. Yeah. But we played it straight. And I think that ended up, I think we got to Braca faster than we expected. And because I think, especially after Olsvach, we just were like, but Olsvach and Thorn are extremely different. I see a lot of people trying to compare the two situations, but they couldn't be more different in so many ways because we had some power in Thorn, and it was in Braca's best interest to let us walk right into the belly of the beast. Right. And that's what we did. And that ended up paying off very dangerously. And then, it did leave the question of, wait a minute, where's Diptha? Why was that so straightforward? And now what happens? And it almost was the end of us.
And I know
for
that
sure.
a few people were questioning, like, why would Braca's a big bad guy? Why would he fight the fight fairly and not, not pull some shenanigans? I got some of those questions too. And for me, I think Braca had as much to prove to himself as Ugo does. Like, Braca is in this. I mean, they're twins. They went through the same thing. Braca did align himself with a real dark power here.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he wanted to prove to himself that he could beat Ugo in single combat.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just prove to the tribe,
right.
that too, but I think Braca was going through some real stuff. He's not just an evil, he had as much traumatic family stuff as Ugo did. He was just on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's just
I think the Braca, I said this to Ron after the show. I think that tracks very much so with the image of with the image that I had of Braca at the end. It was made very clear to me by the Braca and Ugo argument after the fact, is that these are both abused children of a really terrible father.
Yeah.
And they both went very different ways. And that was so sad to me. It was, that argument between the two of them was so sad. And because it was, Braca is evil, but also like you see where it came from in that moment. And that was such a bummer, but also felt really true. And it gave Braca some heart, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. It gave him some meaning to see what it was there. And that, it's all the best villains or whatever have that. I think that with the revelation that Ugo was not forced to kill his father, that he did it. Yes, Jessica, you can come back.
Sorry, Jessica.
Sorry, Jessica. That I think the fact that it was revealed that Ugo was not forced to kill his dad, it reminded me of James with Thad Yelmings. I said this as much in our little chat after the show, after the cameras were off, so to speak, because it was you had all of these dark forces at work and dark influences, but really that was you, and you did it because you that was your own choice, and that was your own weakness in that moment doing that. It's I think Ugo,
you don't get out of the responsibility of that choice.
No.
You don't get to escape you don't get to put that on some other force.
And Ugo and Fahima have tried to give James the out of like, well, it was Shothergott that killed that guard, right? And James is like, no, that was me. I did that. And it really is an interesting dynamic and a similarity again between Ugo and James, who at the front seem like the least similar characters. Which is really lovely. But what do we do with Thorn now?
I'm gonna be anxious to see the answer to that myself.
I mean, okay, so we have to try to save Braca for the reasons that we spoke about a few moments ago, or at least some of us have to try. But I was thinking about this, like, how does this change the flow for us right now? We have Torvald and Diptha. There's still so many questions with Diptha. Someone says, like, why did Diptha get sort of set aside? It was like, well, because Braca was obviously more urgent and he was dying in the moment. We have, it wasn't a putting Diptha on ice. It was like wow, there's so much to unpack here, and we're not going to be able to do it in the 2 minutes after this fight under this in the Underfury. So let's take a breath and share our information and talk. What does this mean for Ugo? Personally, I think there's always urgent things. There's still Jorel in prison. There's still a lot that we need to do, but I think we should probably take a moment now as a team and go, like, what do we do now? We need to we need to do a mind meld with Torvald and Diptha and basically like figure out where we're going, how we're going to go there. We still have, the plan was to go Olsvach, Thorn, and then Zhong, where the Grave of Nonezaron was, and so that could that's very much still in the offing. I think. I don't think we should jump back to Turles yet, but there's also, do we go back to Olsvach? That's a question too. I maybe after we talk to Torvald and Diptha, is going back to Olsvach an option? Which leads me to James and the Cheesemonger. James is not done with the Cheesemonger. He's only had two, and there's more coming. Spoiler alert.
James and his role as psychic torturer.
I mean, everybody assumes that James is trying to kill the Cheesemonger, and I've said don't assume that. I think I want to find Squid Boy, what Jessica says. Yeah, we need to find Lord Ereban for sure.
I was like, who's Squid Boy?
I think James is honestly trying to push the Cheesemonger and learn some more about the Cheesemonger and find out if there's other options there. I think that first dream where he tried to basically guilt trip the Cheesemonger, and the Cheesemonger erupted in, evil laughter and said, "I do it again." And it was like, noted. Okay, that's the kind of guy you are. Okay. All right, here we go then.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, game on. Let's do this. I think from here on out, it's going to be trying to push old Cheesy in different directions and seeing maybe we can get him to do something. Yeah. But
yeah, I think it's cool how you guys have such a wide range of things that you can do right this second.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. Yeah, for sure.
Here's a question from Seth Leopard on the Patreon. Seth Leopard says, glad to see you the gang back. My question is about taking notes during the game. How extensive are the details you write down while you RP, if anything at all? Do you rewatch the episodes to make sure you got everything, or do you only write down the things that you think your specific character would find interesting?
That is an excellent question. So during the show, I do take notes. You can probably see. But my notes are pretty cursory, pretty, one word here, two words there. But I do take pretty extensive notes between episodes. I will sometimes pre-write sendings, where it's like, if I was thinking of, I'm definitely going to do a sending to Fesh, or somebody like that. So I will pre-write that. I will go back and watch episodes, but only if I try to not meta. I try to keep it unmetagamey. And 35 full-length pages in Google Docs. Jessica says
35 full-length pages. Woo! Yeah, but what type point? We're talking to like 14, 15. No, I'm just kidding.
But I do go back and watch episodes, but only for specific moments that I think would have been of interest to James, that James would have noticed, to make sure that I've got the details of that. Because again, over our 2 years of our show, how many months? Like, it's only been a matter of days. It's been a few months or something like that. But it's like, well, actually, that would have happened only 6 hours ago, and it was 3 weeks ago. So I'm like, I definitely would remember that. For instance, the phrase in Orcish that you threw at me when I did speak with the dead this last episode. I'm like, okay, that is something that I will try to repeat later to Ugo or Civ and go like, hey, what does this mean?
I was tempted to do that entire exchange in Orcish just to like mess with you.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
But I didn't.
I get so much crap for the questions I ask, and I'm like, you realize it's mostly Jeff who likes to torture me.
I gotta have some fun sometime.
No, I'm kidding. I know. Well, and it's I just happen to have all these spells that ask questions. I mean, and I think warlocks, I've made James into such a utility warlock. James would probably be worthless in a battle royale because my my spells that I've gone with for the most part are all about what's most useful to our party, and to, it's like, and I'm filling the slots that we need. And so I'm like a cell phone. I'm just all communication with some damage at this point.
Let's be fair. You're a smartphone.
Oh, thank you very much. But so I think that answers the question. I do take I take pretty fast like shorthand notes during the episode, and then I will go back sometimes and watch moments of episode after the fact to make sure that I got something right, because I was like, James would remember that, or something. But I still miss stuff. There's still occasionally things that I go, what? What was that? Yeah.
I'm great. I go back and watch episodes too to make sure that I'm quoting myself correctly. I'm just
in my whole D&D games, I wish we recorded them at their episodes. Sometimes I'm like, what happened at that moment?
I know, dude. What a incredible resource to have, the recording of everything you said in a session. It's just like the best to be able to go back and scrub through a YouTube video and go, oh yeah, that's what I said.
Everybody live stream your games. No, don't do that. Yeah. So I hope that answers the questions. Let's see. Any other
we're kind of the last few minutes here. Any other in the chat? Any other questions anybody wants to bring up?
Yes, Jessica says, going back to episode 6. Episode 6 is maybe my most rewatched episode. That vision, the original Warden vision, holds a lot of information. I won't spoil this. Jessica texted me a couple weeks ago about another deep cut I had forgotten from not quite that far back. It was still in the remote episodes, and I was like, whoa, I had totally forgotten about that.
I'm so curious what that is.
It was during the time jump, and that's what I will say.
Okay, all right.
It was just go back through our text thread, Jessica. You'll remember it.
Oh wait, Jessica doesn't even remember.
She's like, wait, what did I say? Oh yeah. Yes.
That's funny.
Yes, that's right.
It's so funny because episode 6 was I remember that was the one where, as I was leaving my house to go to the studio to record it, I turned to my wife and I said, this might be the one where I break the show, where I ruin it, where I ruin everything.
You said it to us before the cameras were on. But in your defense, you did say that to us every other week.
Well, I was definitely worried that whole flashback thing was just, people were just going to be like, well, screw this show. Like this is dumb. Everything, they jumped into other bodies and said, I'm out. This is dumb.
Yeah. You legit said that to us right before episode 6. And here's the thing. Here's a little. Let's Jeff, plug your ears.
Take it seriously?
No. I'm about to say very nice things about you, as if you weren't here though. Here's the thing about working with a brilliant talent and an amazing person like Jeffrey Cannata. He is so good, but we all kind of fly without a net sometimes, and I think it's. I've never seen quite the dichotomy of real talent with as much self-doubt as Jeff Cannata has sometimes.
That's true.
And it's amazing. It is amazing because you are legit the best DM I've ever seen. And
that's nice of you.
And the fact that I also get to see you in your moments of real fear,
which is near constant.
and it's really we talk about like imposter syndrome or anything else like that. It happens to the best of us, folks, and it doesn't go away. I hope that helps. If you're ever suffering from imposter syndrome, so is everybody.
Well, I always think of this great anecdote. I don't even know if it's apocryphal at this point. It may never even have happened, but it's something that was passed down to actor right through. One of my acting teachers told me about this famous moment from Olivier. Evidently, like, did some amazing performance and came off stage, and friends came backstage to his dressing room to tell him how great he was, and they found him crying in his dressing room, and they're like, Sir Lawrence, that was incredible. That was amazing. Why are you Why are you crying? That was the most. You were wonderful. And he goes, I know, but I don't know why. He's like, I can't repeat it. Like, it was great. But that doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be great. You know? It's like, how do I do that again?
It's
so even, I'm not saying I'm a whatever. I'm just saying that, like, even
doesn't
when
go
you
away.
feel like, even when something feels good, it's like, oh, now we have to be that good every time, So,
yeah. My favorite story about that was, this was one of the stories that the first time I heard it, I related to it so hard that I think I started crying, was, when Burt Reynolds died about a year ago or a year and a half ago, one of the people who'd worked with him on the Grand Theft Auto games said, like, Burt was so wonderful. And the fact that we got Burt Reynolds to do Grand Theft Auto was constantly blowing my mind. And he was in the booth recording. And he's like, I think my jaw was just on the floor the whole time. And so it's just everything he was doing. I was like, I just wasn't saying anything because I was awestruck. He's like, and after about an hour, Bert leaned out of the booth and said, hey, I've never done this before. Do you mind just, if if you think what I'm doing is good, just every 10 minutes or so saying, doing great, Bert.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh.
Everybody can use it, everybody can use a little positive reinforcement.
Oh my God. You're like, Burt Reynolds at like 75 had to say that. Like, hey, could you give me a little affirmation here? I have no idea what I'm doing. And it is so, it really is. We just playing this game with you guys and just taking these risks and trying to do things honestly very deeply personal to me, and I know deeply personal to all of us, trying to tell these stories, that sometimes just being able to have this amazing community and see people relating to James, who, I've said this before, but James is half me, maybe probably more, 70% maybe. And I'm just trying to trust my gut that if this is relatable to me, it will be relatable to other people. And to be proven right on that, with a lot of people saying, like, I relate to James more than I'd like to, it's like, it's so gratifying, which is again why I will go to the ends of the earth to be on the show and keep the show going and do this as long as possible, for as long as anybody wants to watch it.
Indeed. I love Chafrikas in the chat. Wrote what I think we should adopt as our new, like, secret phrase. Doing great, Bert.
Doing great, Bert.
I think we should just adopt that as our new, like, everybody who hears this show now knows that that's code for doing great, Bert.
Doing great, Bert.
You're doing great, Bert. I love doing great, Bert. I'm stealing that, Chafrikas.
That's doing so great. Oh, that's
just a little
man,
coded phrase to let your friends know.
That's so nice.
That
I love you guys. I love you guys.
Hey, the watchers of the time stream are also doing great, Bert. I mean, you guys are the wind beneath our wings, literally. Humankind
doing great, Bert. I love it. That's so good. Oh man. Let's see. But so in our last few minutes, I think we've got a new episode coming this weekend. We have the finale of Sapphire Lights coming soon. We have scheduling will again keep everybody up to date. I'll be doing more cast secrets coming up. I think everybody else is happening there. I see the VOD of this on the Patreon tomorrow. Here's another thing I'll say. And I know that Jeff is moving, but I know we get a lot of questions about what, if we'll ever be back in the studio. And what I like to say is never say never. Right. We are working on some interesting ideas. That is what I will say. And yes,
it doesn't necessarily, just because I'm moving out of state does not necessarily mean that that's impossible. And it's certainly something we all want. It is not an easy thing to do. No. Even if I wasn't moving, it wouldn't be easy.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think for the foreseeable future, the show is as you see it. We're going to continue to try to improve it. We've got lots of ideas on ways to make the show more visually interesting and change things up and keep evolving. Always open to your suggestions on that as well. If you have cool ideas for us, please don't hesitate to send us messages about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, for this foreseeable future, the show is going to be as you've seen it, but we have aspirations and we will be working on all that stuff. And there's no animatronic Jeff. That's funny. But yeah, so, you know,
I think, and we also have more ideas for what's coming with the channel as well. You know, Dungeon Run will always be our flagship show, or whatever you want to call it. But we've enjoyed these little side streams and stuff like that, and I hope we'll do more of that. And you know, so I think we got a lot of stuff in mind, and some cool things coming. And
so please tell your friends. We the thing that lets us do more is to have more people watching.
Yeah, honestly,
truly.
And we're so grateful for the support that's already been shown, and continuing to grow the show, we're almost at 3,000 followers on Twitch, which is amazing. We're doing well on TikTok, which we've gotten over 2,000 followers on TikTok in the last couple of weeks. If you haven't followed us there, we're having fun over there, and just continuing to grow the show is just been so amazing. So thanks everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us for the Cooldown. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you helping get the word out, and we appreciate you watching. We're going to be here day after tomorrow with the next exciting adventure of the Heroes of Bingle.
Episode 89.
Yeah.
Yes.
And until then,
it's going to be all Thorn politics. No kidding.
It might be.
Might be, actually.
Doing great, Bert.
Doing great, Bert.
Bert, humankind. Be both.
Be both.